This is the relationship God wants you to have. The deepest, most intimate relationship that you could ever have with anyone. And he's looking to reveal himself in such a way that that relationship becomes possible, because we're not hung up on all of the issues that have separated us and divided us from him, or that we fear him, or we're afraid of getting intimate because, oh, well, he'll really know me. Well, he knows us anyway. He loves us anyway. That's unconditional. Therefore, we don't need to be afraid to be real, to be honest, to share how we're feeling with him, to know how he feels towards us, to be inspired by that. But it's real. This is real relationship. It's not pie in the sky, and it's real. Therefore, it's real, warts and all. Sometimes we struggle. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes things happen we don't understand. Sometimes things happen, we're like, how could God let that happen? And we have questions. We have doubts and unbelief at times over things. But God understands all that. And he wants to draw us closer and closer, deeper and deeper, bringing us into a place where he truly reveals himself. And then we begin to see ourselves reflected back in that wonderful mirror that is his face. And we see ourselves the way he made us. He reveals who we really are. He wants us to have that intimacy. But obviously, that means change. It means transformation. Sometimes the crucible gets hot, to release all this stuff that's in us that's hindering our relationship and our intimacy. But there's no guilt. There's no shame. There's no condemnation to the process. It's just love. It's love that inspired me to trust God and to open my heart to him and to open my life fully to him. It's love that took me to the judgment seat where he let the fire of his presence burn away the wood, hay, and stubble of my scroll. It's love that brought me to the place where, I totally surrender. It was love. If I feared him, I wouldn't have done it. And he wants us to get to that place where the intimacy of his presence reveals the true nature of his heart. And we find that that is home. Don't know who we are will keep us from him. And sin is not a verb which is a doing word. It's a noun which is a thing word. And actually, we've lost our identity. Therefore, we don't know who we are, and that keeps us from a relationship with God, because we don't think we're worthy, or we don't think we deserve it, or we're not good enough for it, or we're too good for it. We don't want it. We don't need it. And all these mindsets, all these ways of looking at it, just keep us from the relationship that God always had in mind for us and has always prepared for us, that there would be a place where we would return to that place of restored innocence, face-to-face relationship, to which all of those things which are lies, basically, that keep us from that. Paul said we're alienated in our own minds. God has never been separated from us. We've separated from him, or these things we think they keep us from him. But actually, God embraces us and receives us as we are. And then in that relationship of intimacy reveals who we really are. And then we begin to come into agreement and alignment with that. We resonate with it. That frequency of the truth changes us, and we're entrained to come into alignment with who we always were in the first place and lost sight of and forgot and missed completely. So I think it's not behavior that keeps us from God. It's the mindset that stops us accepting who we really are. And that's why God wants to renew our minds. He wants to renew our minds to the true nature of who he is and who we are. He wants us to realize that the only thing that keeps us from him is ourselves. It's the way we perceive ourselves, or we perceive things. And once we begin to perceive the right things and the right truth, then we'll begin to realize that there's nothing that can separate us from God, including ourselves ultimately. because God's love will never fail, will never give up. You know, the psalmist, the David said, you know, where can I go from your presence? If I go into the grave, you're there. If I go into the highest heavens, you're there. And that's what we need to discover. God is there. In him we live and move and have our being. We can't be separated from him other than in our own minds. You know, he is never separating from us. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.